AI filmmaking is a new and controversial tool that's just becoming viable to those willing to play with it. It may be a game changer for advertising, content creators, and even those in the retail environment. I thought it would be great for us to learn a little bit more about it, and I'm joined by Ken Hall, a longtime editor and producer who's helped build some of the world's biggest brands. Lately, he's been working on AI filmmaking and has some great insight for us. Hey, Ken, thanks for being here.
Hey, Mark, it's good to be here. Always happy to talk with you.
And likewise, Ken and I have known each other for a long time. And listen, I think you're really an artist. You're someone who has saved me more than once on many of my projects. So, thank you for many years of helping me. But tell me a little bit about your journey and how you ended up as a content creator and someone who's managing the branding for many companies.
You mentioned we have known each other for a while, so maybe I won't start at the beginning, but kind of where we kind of came together in the world. But I had a good opportunity early in my career to work on television commercials for some of the biggest agencies and clients in the world, and it helped me to kind of see the professionalism and what it takes really to create content that connects with an audience. So using that background, hopefully as I've gone through my career working not only with agencies or with clients directly, if they're corporations or nonprofits, it's always about how can you tell the best story that's going to connect with the audience to motivate them to do something. Because regardless of what kind of project you're working on, in the end, you want the audience to do something. Again, whether that's to buy a product, whip out a checkbook for a nonprofit, or just be happier and healthier and have a good laugh.
You and I met a few months ago. You were talking about you jumped into AI filmmaking. And I don't, there, and I think one of the reasons that I wanted to meet with you, we had coffee a few months ago, and I said, tell me what's going on. I started seeing LinkedIn. I started to see on people that I knew that I'd worked with in the past who were really concerned about AI. They thought, oh my God, this is going to steal my job. They're coming for us. Tell me where you are on the AI filmmaking journey and kind of frame it from your perspective.
From my perspective, AI is just another tool set. So I am a longtime editor, and editors always have to deal with technology a little bit more than maybe some others, particularly when we went digital. And that has always fascinated me, the technology side of it. And what I was seeing was when I first started to look at it, it was quite primitive. But I thought back to the days of when Avid first came onto the market, and there were a couple other devices back then in the late 80s. I believe Avid was introduced in 89 or so. And the resolution was no bigger than about a postage stamp at the time.
Yeah.
But yet there were some interesting things about it, and people kept working on it, and ultimately we know what happened. So that's why I felt about AI, that it seemed to me that, yeah, it's primitive, but I see some interesting possibilities. And since the time in just the 6 or 8 months that I've been looking at it, the technology has increased astronomically. So if you look at what OpenAI is doing with Sora and some of the projects that a company independent of OpenAI has done with the software, you can see that it's here and it's going to be used. And it may not be 100% AI, but there may be snippets of all kinds of productions with AI imagery in it. And again, think about VFX in a sense. All the worlds that VFX are creating now within the computer that never was done before. So again, that was just technology moving forward. And I think the same way with imagery. I was thinking that maybe at some point, rather than actually being on set, you're creating within the computer, just like, say, an animator is, where we're saying, okay, I have this room. I want to show this scene. What's a good lens for that? How can I get this? How should this be lit? And that's where an editor does. I don't know about any of that stuff, but a good cinematographer would be able to. if I had to, in the world of AI, create a room, I need an art director. I think that's what I think. And perhaps someday that's maybe what it will be. We'll all be working within the computer doing exactly what we're doing today, collaborating remotely. But will that mean that we're not going to do this in a soundstage or on location? We'll always have that. There's always going to be the need for humans in the process, whether that's behind the camera or in front of the camera.
Give me a simple approach to how you construct that AI filmmaking scene. What is what is it that you do to make something from the computer with the technology?
Well, maybe it would be best for me to just tell you something that I've done in a project right now. So, for the most part, AI tools for me are more fixing things, up-resing, fixing audio, whatever. But I did have a project where it's a documentary project. We didn't have an image of a particular character doing something in his life as a young boy. We had already used a number of photos of this character as a young boy doing various things. So I wanted to see if I could make it happen. Could I create an image that we did not have? And in the world of AI right now, a single text doesn't get you anywhere close to where you need to be. It's all about iteration. It's all about doing 10 prompts, 20 prompts, 30 prompts before you get 75% of what you want. And then maybe you bring it into Photoshop and do some manipulation. Ultimately, while I could not really get the face of the character, I actually had the camera go around to behind the character, using some of the imagery we have in terms of his clothes, in terms of his head, the shape of his head, for example. I could take that information into some of the AI tools, and I was able to create an image that fit exactly what we needed, and it didn't feel like it was out of place, and it solved my issue.
So did you create that? I know a little bit about the AI filmmaking, a lot of it from you and research that I've done online. You, let's take that scene in particular. You created that scene with a combination of text and actual pictures or
Yeah,
reference material?
so we put in a prompt, but in this particular platform, this was Mid-Journey, and again, this was a few months back, so things may have changed by now. But I could put in an initial text, and then tell it to reference a photo that I uploaded as a character reference, and then another photo called it style reference, which would be the style of the clothes, the lighting, that kind of thing. So it took that information along with my text to create an initial image. And it did take me quite a while to get anything close. And then, as I said, I took it into Photoshop. I did some touch ups, and I put some filters on so it looked like an old photograph.
Why is there a controversy about, because what you described sounded like a lot of the projects I've worked on where we had to create something from nothing in an imaginary world. Why do you see the creative community resistant to this technology?
Well, I think it's probably the way things are thrown out there, where you know the initial folks behind the AI tools, right? They want to hype this. We live in a world of hype. Everything is hyped. And so if you want people to get some attention, if you want to get people's attention, you've got to kind of raise the bar a little bit on that. So I think the initial thought was, oh, this is going to come out. We're going to change filmmaking. Um, and I think everybody just kind of heard that and didn't really take the time to study the actual value of it. So
So do you
I think it was just done in a way to create hype, to get everyone's attention and sell, right?
so where I've seen some of the samples you've shared with me. There's a learning curve we're still on. I mean, be realistic. What can I expect if I were to jump in, or someone were learning this, where are we?
Well, I think it depends on what you want to do. If you're a very young filmmaker and you're sitting somewhere in Southern Illinois and you want to do a project that is set in India, right now you can easily go to some of the tools and create an image, both still and motion, that would kind of recreate what might be in India. Maybe you want to be in Mumbai. And you
Wow.
can do that. And if you're a young filmmaker, you could use it and it would look great probably in your project. If you are a big agency, a big network, you're not going to quite get there because it's not going to be real enough. There are going to be things that don't look right. But based on what I've seen lately, getting to high level, high cinema quality, I think is going to happen for some scenes. Again, I'm going back to what I see what VFX people do.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you took those same tools and rather than coding it where you had to push a button or move this vector or do any of that, and you could simply type it out and get the same result, I think that's something to consider.
Do you think there's, yeah, I think there's been, people have gone all over the board, ethical jobs, etc. Do you think ethically we could run into problems with the tool?
Well, AI is a tool, and you and I have discussed what creativity is that, and maybe some people believe in this or some not, but every idea has already been done. There is nothing original necessarily. We keep telling the same story over and over, but just in a different place. It's a love story in a Western. It's a love story in space. It's a love story in a cafe in a small town in Montana. So everything we see, I think a lot of that creativity builds on what's done before. Now, we've got to change it. We take the ideas. It's not the same love story. It's a little different, but we kind of build on the creativity that's been done before us. And so I don't have any issue with taking an image and making it derivative enough that it's something else. But as far as the initial companies sweeping the internet for content, yeah, I think they do have some obligation to make good on that. But as far as once you have the imagery, as long as you can create from it, make it something new, make it your own, then I think that's okay.
Explain that. What you're actually, what AI is doing, you write out a prompt. You know, you're texting in a box or into the program, a Western romantic or this type of look, this type of lens. You put in a lot of written information, and then the AI programs, are they scouring the internet for literal material, or are they emulating material that is accessible? I think that's
No, they're accessing material that's accessible. So what I've found is um, we've all probably used lots of stock footage, stock photos, and everything is very highly art directed, and people don't, you know, they're not real, they're silly. You know, you want something
nice
that
and
looks
fake.
like,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So AI has seen them. So I'm putting in prompts and I'm getting that back. I'm getting that kind of thing
You've
back.
seen
And
that
it's like,
stock footage before. It just looks a
right,
little
right,
different.
right. And when I've asked for some really specific things, for example, we were doing a corporate project in a factory. And just for the heck of it, I said, can I see a factory worker with a tool, plugging in a tool with a GFI plug? Okay, that's a normal plug that's in everyone's household,
Yep.
and right, couldn't get it. Nothing. I tried for days. In one program, I trained the algorithm on here's what a GFI looks like. I still couldn't get it. So there are a lot of things you, at least right now, you cannot get
Interesting.
because the AIs have never seen such a thing, right?
So
They've
there's
never seen
definitely,
all the images of just somebody plugging in a power tool in a socket, right?
so when people start talking about, oh my God, you know, we're going to have uh, actors who are just going to be, you know, fully creative. I mean, maybe not now, Maybe what? Where are we 6 months year from
Well,
now?
hold on right now. One thing that I've have read and heard is some of the A-listers in Hollywood are getting their entire faces and bodies digitized so
Really?
that so that they now can be used in a digital
They sign, but
situation.
they're opting in on that.
They're opting in on it, right?
Now, would
And
they?
again, now think back to what you were talking about before, animation. So if I've got an A-list actor and I want to put them in some movie and I'm using the digital information, right? We're not on set. We're still going to need that cinematographer to decide what the angle is. We're still going to need the art director. We're still going to need the lighting director. We're still going to need
Sure.
these if that's the way it goes. Will it?
So,
I don't
so,
know.
so,
If the
so you're from your perspective and with the industry, forgive me if you don't know deep down, but where the big major players in the industry, actors, where are we? I mean, are they all kind of putting a toe in the water and kind of embracing it?
Well, if you can make money for your estate after you've long passed away, hey, wouldn't you
Oh,
want to?
excellent point. Right. What do you
Yeah.
and what do you tell somebody who's maybe in school or a content creator now about this technology? Because it's complex. It doesn't sound like it's simple. Like we're just hitting a button and we
Right.
get our output of what we want.
Right. Well, I do a little teaching of editing here, and I did a few weeks ago talk to the class about it. Had a 20-minute segment on AI. I think it's something they need to know. I think they shouldn't just drop it. Again, it's a technology. There are tools. We all have to be aware of them, regardless of whether you're a student or a veteran. This is what our business has always been about. Um, how can you tell a story better? And if an AI tool helps you to do that, and it helps you to connect with an audience better and motivate them better to do whatever it is you want them to do, then that's the way it will be.
And I know you mentioned a few of them. I know it's the middle of 2024. As of today, what are some of the tools that are leading the efforts that you're working with?
Well, right now, and I would say, regardless of what you are looking for AI to do, there are tons of companies doing everything.
Wow.
Um, the one that I like and the one that some of the folks that I follow seem to still like is Midjourney for um, image creation. Now, right now, it is only still images, but I understand they're going to roll out motion. If you want motion in an AI image, Runway ML is probably one of the leaders. There's another one called Pika Labs. If you're doing audio work, 11 Labs is really good on generating speech from prompts or doing speech to speech. So I had a project where I wrote the script and I want it read in a certain way. And I went to 11 Labs, found the voice, and said, duplicate my read in your voice. And it was perfect, of course. Um, and Suno and Udio for music composition. I've done some playing around with those, and that's getting impressive now. So we are as everyone says, we are at the place where this is the worst AI is ever going to be. And if you look at what OpenAI is doing, Google also has a Sora-like app that they've introduced. However, they've not released it. Right now, we're still a few months out from the election, and what the sources I follow say that maybe they won't roll out some of these more advanced tools until after the election. We'll see.
So do you we'll kind of wrapping up here for viewers, for all of us who are consuming content, we love the big blockbuster movies. I think that's probably the level that we discuss, and the opt-in of studios and talent. But when it gets to those middle, lower, the social channels, is there a danger of abuse?
Well, people on social channels have been abusing others for quite a while now. So, yeah, I mean, you should look at things at least with a grain of salt, or at least do your homework and research. If it's a social topic that is important to you, you probably should look for other sources just to find out what's going on. If you're living in a silo, that's not good. Well, for any of us to be living in a silo these days.
Listen, that is important for all of us in the age we live in because, whether AI or not, it's it we've got to be a little bit we've got to have a good radar up on what we're receiving. And
Right.
listen, Ken, this was incredibly informational. I think it's a really interesting area, and the future, you and I maybe, we may want to revisit this in 6 to 8 months or a year because we could see a lot of changes. But I really want to thank you for being with me today and helping clear the air on probably one of the most controversial pieces of software that I have ever been around in the creative industry. So thank you so much.
Right. Well, you're welcome, Mark. I enjoyed having the conversation today.
To find out more about AI filmmaking, Ken Hall, and everything we discussed, check out the links below.